Hi guys, my name is Sel. Welcome to Wait, Let Me Think, a journal podcast where I get to open up, reflect, and shamelessly ramble as I do anyway. Hi! This episode's gonna be mad chaotic because I'm with my younger sister.
Hi, I'm Gwen. What's good?
What's good? What's happening? I hated that. We are 7 years apart. She's younger than me, but people...
Yeah, I'm with my younger sister.
Oh yeah, I already said that. Gwenny's like so much taller than me, so people are always doubting how far apart we actually are. Can you not crack your... This is an ASMR, Gwen.
I'm sorry.
But Gwen and I are avid TikTokers, I would say.
I post regularly, so
yeah,
I post like a few times a week.
I've posted maybe like
once a week sometimes.
I've posted maybe 10 TikToks in my life, if that.
That's sad.
Okay.
I have been on TikTok since the beginning. I'm an OG muser.
Yeah, Gwen has been there since
2015.
What is it, Musically?
Yeah, since it first came out in 2015.
Right. And I was skeptical until I found it in my depressive episode during university and convinced all of my friends to download it. So we wanted to sort of talk about TikTok because I think it's interesting to look at it from Gwenny's perspective as a 13-year-old. She's basically the demographic, right? We see all these popular people, no matter what kind of content you get in your For You page, there is a sort of like, it's not a holy trinity, but there's like a holy squad of people that we assume to be the top TikTokers the way that we assume certain people are top YouTubers or Viners.
It's like the most famous and the most like relatable content, sort of like content that we enjoy, that the fans enjoy.
I think relatable is maybe a good place to start to talk about this, because when I say top TikToker, for the people who are like my age and older, you know, in their 20s, 30s, maybe up, who have no idea what we're talking about, we have people like, off the top of my head, we got Lil Huddy. We got Charli
17.
D'Amelio.
Charli is 15.
We got
Bryce Hall. We
got Dixie D'Amelio.
Yeah.
We got
Tony
Addison
Lopez.
Rae, Tony Lopez brothers.
Yeah.
Who else would you say are in
Daisy
this top?
Keech.
Daisy Keech.
Josh Richards, Nessa Barrett,
the Avani girl,
Mattia Alejandro.
Yeah, these are like the top people that we're talking about. These are the people that the algorithm favors.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, as a person who watches it and as the sort of demographic for it, what do you mean when you say relatable?
Well, a lot of these TikTokers are like teenagers, and some are adults, but most of them are teenagers. And relatable as in a lot of them do post content from like them hanging out with their friends and hanging out with other teenagers.
Yeah.
They also post content that's like what every child/teenager or a lot of children want, like that's what their life, like what they want their life to be, or what they want their teenagers to be. That's why they look up to them and follow their like content.
I think that's very interesting because YouTube sort of shaped this culture of relatability. There are many videos out there that I've watched. It's like analytical essays. Basically, it's about how millionaires, right? It was like young people started their lives on YouTube and then made $1 million or $1 billion careers out of it, and they kept selling being relatable. They keep trying to be funny and make jokes about being poor and ugly and have bad fashion sense, when people like Emma Chamberlain have been invited to Louis Vuitton like countless times. Paris Fashion Week. You know, YouTubers now have Teslas and they're giving it out to their friends. It's like, these kids are no longer relatable, and that's why I wanted to ask you, do you dress like these TikTokers? Do you look like these TikTokers? Do you speak like these TikTokers? It's like, it's less relatable, but more like aspirational.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's interesting to me because I think YouTube validated aspirational as a sort of relatable. Like, now the standard for kids is no longer, here's something that you can imagine yourself being, and more like, here's something you should look up to. And I think that stems from, like, even Justin Bieber and, like, teenage
Yeah.
heartthrob times, you know, like,
Yeah.
it's all marketing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is interesting, again, because I think we want to go back to that. TikTok seems so organic because it's only 15 to 60 seconds. It's usually shot in your bedroom. You know, you assume that it's, like, this kid alone, just doing what they like doing with a ring light. You know, if they're fancy, they have, like, a tripod for their phone or something. But we assume that it's all organic, when in reality, these kids are, like, they have managers and they have, like, publicists, and their parents are flying them out to LA 24/7, and they're doing online school to sacrifice. They're sacrificing their education for a career.
Yeah.
It's basically like, these are child stars, not.
Yeah.
You know, they're not.
There are some TikTokers who I wouldn't say, like, have, like, big followings, like the Hype House members, but they do have quite a following, and that is more relatable because they're making TikToks at, like, 2 a.m. in their bedrooms, and it's, like, just them.
Yeah.
And then it's, like, that sort of content is relatable.
Yeah.
But I will say the big TikTokers, like the Hype House kids, it's, like, the MagCon era, where it's, like...
Yeah.
Like, you're a fan of them, so it's... I guess that's what drives you more to it as well.
I think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't connect to the Hype House.
Yeah.
Because I'm much older.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like, to preface this, like, the Hype House is... What is it? It's like Team 10.
The Hype House is a team, like, Team 10 for TikTok. It's basically a bunch of TikTokers. They live in the same house. Some don't live in there, but they're this one group who... are literally like a publicity group. They do brand deals. They were
basically banded together.
Yeah, it started with one person having that idea.
Yeah.
And then other people who are friends of them who were TikTokers as well, and who had the money for it, and who were basically acted like investors, who put money down for everything.
But that's what we know. That's not necessarily true. That's the issue.
That's what we know so far.
That's the thing. It's like, this is a brand. It's a brand, and they are attached to this house, and they call it the Hype House.
The Hype House.
Whether or not they live in this house, we don't know for sure. Whether or not these kids are with their parents, we can't confirm. Whether or not these kids actually like each other and were friends before it, we can't confirm.
Yeah.
All of this could be orchestrated or could be organic, and we don't know.
But from what we know, from what they put out,
but
it's
we
don't
trust that, because that's exactly what I learned. Now I'm gonna go back to, like, MagCon, because MagCon, if you don't know, is the meet and greet convention that happened maybe around 2014, and it's basically a group of boys that were on Vine, and they were collected together just because they had a following. The one thing they had in common was maybe they were all white.
And they were all cute. Like, that's literally
it. Yeah, they were very attractive boys. They all were very loud, except for maybe Aaron. He was the only one that was quieter. And Sean. Like, Sean and Jack were a part of it. They were both... Shawn Mendes, by the way. They were singers. And that's about it. They went on stage, and people would pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to show up to a convention room where they would meet them, take pictures with them, and then they would go on stage, the performers would perform, and the others would just fool around or dance around to whatever Vine song that was famous at the time.
That is literally that's literally playlist.
Yeah. It's basically they don't do anything.
Yeah.
But that, again, like, when I was watching Viners, the thing to be was very loud. Like, it was a lot of pranks, a lot of, like, inside jokes that were happening on Vine. Until today, people still watch compilations for that very reason. But when you go on TikTok, they're just lip-syncing or dancing.
Yeah.
That's all the Hype House is doing. You can't tell me that they're doing anything else.
Well, actually, not necessarily.
Like on TikTok?
Yeah, because there are a few members, because there's two members, Cover and Alex Warren. They're dating, and then they literally post, like, their life on TikTok and, like,
okay, but that's, like, also just being a YouTuber.
Yeah. They do YouTube, but it's also they post it on TikTok, too.
TikTok is, like, I don't even know what Lil Huddy's, or, like, what Chase's personality is actually like. I don't know what Charli D'Amelio is actually like. She's a blank slate. If you think about it, right? What's her favorite color? I don't know.
Yeah.
What's her favorite fashion brand? Whatever is trending at the time on TikTok. Could be Brandy Melville. Could be whatever LA brand she's been paid to, like, put on. What is her favorite song? I don't know. She posts 20 million songs at a time. Like, I don't know anything about her. We think we do because we know her sister. We know her mother. We see parts of her life. But, like, if I was to read a fan fiction about the Hype House, their personality could be like anything, and I'd be like, yeah, that's believable.
Yeah, exactly, because they can put whatever actor personality they want to, like, make themselves look better and drive more attention towards them.
Right. So, I'm kind of thinking, is this destructive? Because not to go back to Shawn Mendes, but absolutely to go back to him. I was a huge fan of his, and I spent
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time really dissecting his career. I wrote college essays on his career in my music classes and my cultural studies, but it's very interesting because it looks into how an industry, right, like music, entertainment, whatever, that is filled with the male gaze, and how basically a bunch of grown men use sexuality and use attraction and use heteronormative values and standards, which is Shawn, right? Shawn is like the epitome of a hot, straight, white dude. And they clean him off of anything that could be opinionated, and then they sell him to people for a lot of money, but basically they're selling nothing. Not to say Shawn isn't talented. He very much is. But his music is only about relationships. That's it. He's dabbled into talking about his mental health. But, like, what kid hasn't gone through anxiety? Not to diminish what he's gone through, but Shawn talks about his anxiety as a pop star, which is, like, to be expected.
Yeah.
So, I see this happening. This formula is now put on people like the TikTokers in the Hype House. You take super, like, neat and clean and, like, almost, like, super conventional, unproblematic, to a certain degree, people, and, like, they're not even godly attractive. They're just cute. There's something unique about how they look. There's something aspirational about it. And then they sell it to kids for a lot of money. That's the other issue, is that the consumer is always young girls. It's always young girls who can manipulate their parents into crying to getting $200 to buy tickets to meet people who have no personality.
Legit. And it's like, you see all of these young girls meeting people, and it's so insane because when they go to these events, they can record anything, and then you really see the real them, because there are a lot of TikTokers, especially, who were super rude. Like, back to playlist, they didn't want to take pictures, and then they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we were all really tired," and that's understandable. But then there are TikTokers who were just, like, generally rude, and were only there literally to just party with other teenagers.
Yeah.
So it's like, you see one thing on one screen, but then, like, through a fan screen who literally are recording everything,
right,
and putting it out on the internet and, like, exposing people, basically. That's why there are so many exposing YouTube channels. It's insane because even though people still know that you don't really actually know them, they still, like, eat that up. That's the thing. Is
this, like, a sadistic cycle that, like, fans and idols, I'm gonna call them idols, borrowing that from, like, the K-pop fandom, right? It's people who you look up to, celebrities. Is this the vicious cycle that relatable content will now create. Because I'm thinking this stems from, like, my earliest recollection would be Justin Bieber, just because I was like 8 at the time. Yeah. So if you have any earlier examples, that's not to say yours is not valid, but he was supposed to be squeaky clean, cute, Canadian boy, super sweet, super talented, and then you work them super hard without the fans knowing. And then once the fans actually get to meet them and they've paid so much money, these people are under so much pressure and stress that they break and they come off as rude. They're like probably screaming. They're probably not respecting other people's space, other people's property. It's kind of like a weird sadistic cycle. It's vicious. And we keep putting these kids through these things. And we keep getting disappointed because they don't act accordingly to our projected fantasies once we do meet them. But I was actually thinking, right, like, TikTok seems much more open and transparent and organic than being an international pop star, for example.
Yeah.
So maybe they themselves are probably not trained and ready for the caliber of fame that comes, you know what I mean? I think you can be like, oh yeah, I have 13 million followers on TikTok, but for a 15 or 16-year-old kid, what does that actually mean? You know, it's like, when you are Shawn Mendes, I can probably assume you've been trained by professionals to act a certain way when there are paparazzis, to dodge questions when they're uncomfortable and you don't want to put any comments out there that might be offensive. There are ways that you behave. Like, I know One Direction were completely controlled by their management to the point where if they messed up, if somebody did something wrong the day before, they would get basically punished by their management, and their social media would then get controlled by them. And we would be able to tell because the language would be sort of different. But it's basically like damage control, right? Yeah. Because they're prepared to sort of be the kings and queens of the public eye. Yeah. They can't mess up because they stand as a symbol. They stand as a commodity. And that's what I wanted to like...
And TikTok, a lot of TikTok creators they don't have that kind of management. Yeah. Because it's like, for example... They just have brand deals. Yeah, for example, they're a group of TikTok boys. They're called the New Jersey Boys. And they are... A few of them are very... Well, like, one of them is very problematic. And they absolutely, I don't know if it's, what it looks like is like some of them do not have any filter online. Yeah. Because some of them know when to not say stuff. Right. And I don't know if when they do say stuff, it's because like they're trying to do like a publicity stunt. But from what it seems like, when they had a falling out for a little bit, I think it was like a month ago, one of them completely just put it all out there and saying everyone has changed. Right. And then the other boys were like, we didn't even talk about this personally. Why are you saying stuff online? Yeah.
For the MacCon people, this sounds like Taylor Caniff and Cameron Dallas and Nash Greer having mental breakdown.
Because it's like, I remember there was one point where a fan commented on one of their Instagram posts and was like, what happened with you and the other boys? You guys aren't hanging out as much. And then one of them was like, all of them has changed. We're distant now. And then other people, because there's a thing called TikTok Room, which is like a exposing page on Instagram, and one of the boys were like replying to all of those posts about all of that, was like, I don't know what he's saying, we weren't talking about this personally, so I don't know what he's saying. And then like a week later it's resolved, and it's so weird. Yeah. Because
you're seeing it live.
Yeah. And then there were a few, again with the same group, they're saying like, you shouldn't be saying online. Yeah. And they were saying that on live. And they were like...
You can't take it back.
They were like, I can't believe I just said that on live. And they were on live with the other one of the other boys in that group. And the other boy was just like laughing. Yeah. And then the one that said that was just like, oh god.
But that's what I'm saying about training. People like Justin Bieber or Ariana Grande, they probably went through classes.
Oh yeah, kind of for like, sure.
Like like princess school.
Yeah, and their management made sure that like, it's like it wouldn't ruin their image.
Behavioral school. Yeah. When you feel like you're about to say something backhanded, you shut up immediately. Like, you know how to shut yourself down before you do something regrettable.
And I think it's also because a lot of these TikTok creators, they do have, I know some of them have managers. These managers are only taking care of like brand deals and not necessarily taking care of their image.
Right. When you do watch, for example, a TikToker say something a little bit not mindful.
Yeah.
Like,
many of them have said offensive, racist things.
Like, is that like, ew, you're not what I thought you were? Or do you go, well, yeah, obviously it's just a stupid TikTok person? Do you hold them up to a certain standard because they're famous on TikTok, or do you just regard them as any other person on social media?
I regard them as any other person on social media, but I also, like, out of everyone, like, with everyone, I expect more than, like, that, than saying racist comments. So when they do say that, that's why, like, cancel culture is a thing as well. Mm-hmm. So it's, like, automatically there are people who are still like, no, we love you, he made a mistake, mm-hmm. or she made a mistake. But then a lot of people are like, no, you're canceled. And it's really weird because people say that, but then you still see them, like, still famous because a lot of, I don't know, when the Wacom boys were a thing, mm-hmm. if one of them did something where they, like, automatically people just, like, stopped. Like, it was a big thing, and then people, like, stopped talking about them, and they weren't really a face anymore.
Interestingly, I actually found Wacom because of a scandal. So, if you remember, if you've been on Tumblr and YouTube back in the day, mm-hmm. you may have remembered Nash Greer, Cameron Dallas, and JC Kalen filming a video where they talk about what guys like in girls. And at this time, I was starting to... So, if you don't know about me, I don't shave my leg hairs because it just hurts. I don't shave my legs and my arms, and I have, like, thick, coarse, like, Arab hair. Yeah. So, it's very visible. And at this age, I was like maybe 14. Mm-hmm. This was at a point where I had to come to school in skirts every day. And I was at an age where I was like, okay, other girls don't have hair on their legs, so I'm going to try it. And then it didn't work out because I would get scabs from it, like, flaming up. And then in this video, they were like, girls, I don't want any hair on your body. That's disgusting. And they were, like, literally, like throwing up, like, mm-hmm. making jokes about it. And they were like, girls have to basically be skinny, white, funny, but, like, not opinionated, you know? Yeah. All these misogynistic things. And at the time, they were, 17, 16? Mm-hmm. Like, they weren't any older or any smarter than I was. But that video basically got me into feminism. That was, like, the first thing that made me like, okay, I know this is not right. Yeah. And I want to know why I feel as angry as I do. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up finding out that they were a part of a Vine group, and then I fell in love with their friends. So that's on me. But, like, I wanted to say with people messing up, I think the dangers about becoming famous on platforms that are like social media, instead of getting signed and then being famous and being sort of like a product of the industry, the thing is, you think it's organic, right? Mm-hmm. And it's something that you promote. It's cool, it's hip, it's relatable. Yeah. You are the man of the people. The people's choice. They brought you here, not some rich guy's money. Yeah. You are not funded to be here, you are chosen.
Because it's like, with these creators, you know the saying, like, I really wouldn't be here without my fans. Exactly. For them, it's, like, literally their career is on the line.
But the issue is, I think when people are a product of the industry in the traditional sense, in the music industry, for example, you can just release an album and then suddenly you have fans. Yeah. You don't have to work to every single, like, corner of the street and make sure people like you. Whereas people on TikTok do.
They do.
They get on every person's screen and have to convince you in 15 seconds to like them and follow them, right?
They have to make sure they're funny or they're pretty or they're cute, and it's like, it's a lot of standards you have to meet to be able to pursue a career in that. Yeah. And it can be taken for you in an instant. Yeah. Make one mistake or TikTok is no longer relevant.
Exactly. So. And I think that's a lot of anxiety for a 16-year-old. Like, I remember how insecure I was. I didn't even think my friends liked me, let alone people on the internet who I couldn't see. Yeah. And then you have trolls, you know. Yeah. And it's like, if you've had, like, scandals, like, God forbid a nude has been resurfacing of you or something, mm-hmm. you're donezo, you know. But the issue is, when you're rising and you go day by day, you might not realize it. As a 16-year-old, it's probably fun. It's probably great attention. Mm-hmm. You are at the top of the world, but you don't realize that you become a product. Yeah. The same way that Justin Bieber was a product. Yeah. And you no longer, especially when you're a part of the group like mm-hmm. the Jersey Boys or the Hype House, you become a symbol that is attached to another symbol. Yep. You're not like, Lil Huddy is not Chase whatever his last name is, right? That's not who he is anymore.
Cole Chase Hudson.
To us, he is the Lil Huddy.
Yeah.
To us, he is a part of the Hype House. So if he messes up, then the Hype House messes up.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's a domino effect. It's an industry.
Yeah, because it's like, that's why being in those groups, it's not, you're not just putting your career on the line, you're putting everyone else's career on the line, because if you make a mistake or multiple mistakes, or like, you do something very offensive, it doesn't just go on you. Again, like you said, it goes on everyone, because then everyone's like, how can you still be friends with this guy?
Right.
How is he still in the...
Yeah,
because when he said the N-word, and then there was the Hype House that were created, the Hype House was created, everyone was like, how can you still support this dude? How can you still be friends with him? And then that's why Charli D'Amelio also got a lot of backlash for, because they started dating. Yeah. And it's like, how can you date someone like this?
And I think that's where performative wokeness or being problematic or cancel culture becomes an issue. Yeah. Because, for example, like the N-word, right? Uh-huh. You can say it because there's a deeply rooted internal racism inside of you that's been taught by you systemically, which is like, we all have that. We're all a product of this society. But I know many kids who grew up saying the word, and then when somebody goes, this is why it's wrong, you shouldn't say it, they learn, and then they never do it again, and they know now that it's wrong, and they continue their life like that. So, for example, not to say that what Lil Huddy did was right, or should be forgivable, or whatever. Yeah. It's like, if this wasn't a famous person, if this was your friend, and he said that, and you said, you can't say that, Chase. He's like, oh, okay, sorry. Then you move on, right? Yeah. Then you're like, okay, cool, now he knows. And even if, like, they end up reading about systemic racism and neocolonial theory, and they get educated about it. And there's, like, people in real time learn every day. They learn every second. But because you become a product, you become sort of, like, crystallized. You become immortalized in this image. Yeah. So what happens then?
And it's also, like, relating to what you said, when you said, like, if your friend said it, you move on as well once you tell them it's wrong, and then they stop saying that. But then this one, it's like, the only way fans actually know that they said offensive things is because everything is on video. Yeah. Or they're typing it out on their social media and tweeting about it from, like, way back when, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that all of that resurfaced. So, the Lil Huddy video where he said the N-word, you can go back to it anytime. Yeah. Any day. You can go on YouTube and you can find it right away.
That could be the first video that you see of his.
Exactly. And then, but then with people who aren't famous,
I feel like when you meet people as a real person who's not a online figure or anything, who doesn't have any fame, like, they meet the version of you now. They don't know of all the past mistakes that you've made unless you say to them that you've done these things. So you are allowed to become new and to decide who you are every day, the morning you wake up, because you don't have status and an image.
Even if you've made a lot of mistakes in the past, and even if, let's say, it was put on video or online, those things usually only stick to your social circle, and it's not like the whole world is going to see it. With mistakes that these creators are making, the whole world can see it. Literally everyone. 7 billion plus people can see the mistake they've made just by going on the internet. If you are someone without fame, your mistake gets put online. Not everyone is gonna see that, you know?
If you're not famous, you delete it.
Yeah, and
who's gonna call you out?
It's like, it's so, you know, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And the thing is, when you're not famous, like, you view your friends who are not famous the same way. You're like, well, if you made a mistake, just delete it, dude. Like,
it's again, like, learn from it and then just delete it. Like, it's not. Yeah. But then with these people, with these creators, it's. Yeah. This is your image, you've ruined it, and you can't really go back from that. And if you do, it's a very long journey to go back from that, because even though people who have made mistakes, big creators who have made mistakes, have been forgiven by a lot of people, there are still a group of people who will, you know, constantly remind you of that, and there will still be everyone who can search up your video or search up what happened.
The thing is like, is it even worth it, right? Because you are not A-list celebrity famous. So what, you're 16 years old, you've messed up your income, which is like, maybe you're getting a few $100,000, if that, on a regular basis. And your whole life's worth has led up to being famous on TikTok or YouTube, because that's all you know. You know, as a 16-year-old, you don't go, well, I'm just gonna go back to my cubicle job now. You know what I mean? Like, this is what you've done your whole life. And this is, for Gen Zs, it's all you've seen. It's all you consume. We watch stuff like iCarly. You know, we watch YouTubers growing up. We even watch kids shows on YouTube when we're in kindergarten. We're at that stage of living now. So, in a way, it's also like, is it even worth it to spend the next 5 years trying to convince your viewers that you're not problematic? And also, being the devil's advocate here, we don't know if these people have really learned. Somebody, after saying the N-word, could be like, now I've learned about these theories and I understand that it's not okay to call these people because of our long history with slavery and colonialism, and this is why this is offensive, and words hurt and words contain meaning and they reproduce stereotypes, whatever.
But it could just be an image that they put up.
How do we know
that they could gain followers, they could, you know?
How can we confirm that Justin Bieber is an angel or a douchebag? We don't know.
Exactly, because everything is... Again, it's like, the internet is a scary place, dude.
And it's like, at 16 years old, because I'm trying to think, right? Like, when your whole self-esteem and self-worth is put onto that number of followers or likes or views, and really, the power is in the consumers.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
For you, you get canceled, you lose everything. For them, they cancel you, they unsubscribe, they unfollow, and they move on with
They really
days.
don't, there's nothing that affects the consumers.
They find the next Charlie D'Amelio.
Yeah.
You know, there are 10,000 of her, maybe more, in one country alone, maybe in one city if you're in LA, you know?
Yeah, and it's crazy because, again, we're not talking about, like, 24-year-old adults. We're talking about people who are literally still growing up, who are still going to high school, or some of them are still even in middle school. Some
Their
of them
brains
are
have not even
my age.
developed yet.
No.
Like, I remember, this is not to, undermine teenagers, by the way. I'm a big fan of teenagers and teenage girls, and I'm a big supporter of them. But I remember being one myself. I'm only 21 now. Like, I was not able to process any emotion, girl, let me tell you. And that was all pertaining to myself.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine if I had to process my image pertaining to 130 million people.
It's like, I'm only 2 years younger than Charlie D'Amelio, and it's like...
Whoa, wait.
I'm only 2 years younger than her. She's a 2004, I'm 2006. She's turning 16.
She's closer to you than she is to me.
Yeah.
That really puts it
she's
in...
She's a year younger than Kaden, and it's like... She's a sophomore in high school. First, she was a baby. She was literally doing what she wanted because she's a dancer. Yeah, so she was just posting dance videos on TikToks, and then one day she gets super big.
Yeah.
She is now the most followed person on TikTok. She is moving to LA, hanging out with other people who have like 20 million followers, 30 million followers.
That's so wild.
It's insane, and she doesn't really get to live a childhood because if you really think about it, again, being a creator, it's also not necessarily on you as well. It's, people who you've like been friends with in the past. Everyone that you work with, everyone that you're friends with, because
being friends is work.
And then if there are past videos with
Wait,
her,
but also that's the thing. We're assuming.
What?
Charlie D'Amelio has been doing dance competitions her whole life. Mm-hmm. She could have been 8 years old. Somebody scouted her, and some guy was like, "Here's my card. We're gonna make your daughter famous one day." This thing could have been in the works for the past 6 years, and we wouldn't know.
What has been put online, let's say
No, but that's the thing. It's like, we're assuming that this girl is robbed off of her teenage years. But the issue with the internet is, we would gladly have given up our own teenage years to be famous on something like this. I would have loved to be a part of Wacom.
I think everyone who puts everyone
I would have
on
sold
TikTok
my toe to be Selena Gomez.
Everyone on TikTok who are putting hashtags, they're like, oh no, I don't if you're putting hashtags as well, you obviously do want to get famous, or you obviously do want the attention for that video that you think you deserve.
Yeah.
I'm not saying at all that these people get famous. It's their fault, or they should be blamed for wanting to be famous.
I think the issue is when you're not properly prepared.
Yeah.
And also the way we just allow sort of fans to rob people of their personhood. because you're the ones that got me here, I would be nothing without you guys. We allow fans to have that mentality, so we think that they owe us everything just because we liked a video. We did not lift a toe, right? We just clicked follow, and these people got money.
Yeah.
So it's like, because of that, we have this weird sort of almost like sadistic and evil thing within us where it's like, we own you. This is a person that we own, and if you mess up, we will cancel you.
Like we're the, like, if you correlate it with, like, celebrities, it's like we're the management type people.
We play God.
Yeah,
like, don't even play. We play
literally
God.
We play God with these people's lives.
And the thing is, I think a lot of boomers like to go, or even like millennials and above like to go, this is a generational thing. Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants attention on social media. But it's like, it's human instinct. It's the human condition to want to be heard, to want to connect with people, to want to feel like you exist.
Yeah.
In the most existential way. And what more can you want when you have 130 million people validating your existence, girl? Like, that's top ego stroking as a human being. But I wanted to move on to the more problematic parts of TikTok.
Okay.
For instance,
let's go.
The algorithm.
Oh, the algorithm. Okay, so I told Selena this a few weeks back. It was posted on TikTok when it was exposed that the TikTok algorithm, I don't know if it has changed, but the original TikTok algorithm, there's a thing called the For You page on TikTok, where it's basically where it's the
videos that go viral.
Yeah, it's the videos that go viral, or the videos that are, like, of interest to you, but the algorithm was that only put, like, skinny people on the For You page. Light-skinned, fashionable, pretty, at the right height,
able-bodied. Yeah. I mean, there was something about disabilities.
There was,
and like
I think I can find
queer content. For a while, when I first watched TikTok, they were trying to ban it, so they would like delete videos if you had like queer keywords.
I think the algorithm now is all
it reproduces what you already like.
But the algorithm before was very problematic, and it was only basically centered on
hot white kids, like, and they were all rich too. Let's talk about that, shall we? Like, the fact that we can talk about the sway house, the hype house, the what boys, the what girls, but it still will always be white, upper class, cisgendered, heteronormative, able-bodied, super binary definitions of beauty. It's like, when I first was on TikTok, it was just memes and pretty people. I did not learn jack. Now on TikTok, I learn a lot of stuff. There's a lot of educated people there. But let's talk about that. Like, because we call it an algorithm, we trust it. And I'm taking this class called Society, Culture, and New Technologies. And it's a course that I'm taking on my exchange here in Hong Kong. And one of them, we were talking about facial recognition. And should facial recognition be implemented by the government to ensure our safety as citizens or not? And a lot of people thought, well, what's the harm? We sell all of our data anyways. By downloading TikTok, we sell our data to the Chinese government. By downloading Facebook, we sell our data to the Russian government. They know where we live, what we eat, where we go when we go on our runs. What else do we have to lose? But the issue is, algorithm is not neutral. So, for instance, with facial recognition, because people in STEM are mostly white males, all of the data, because these are white people that create the algorithms, they have perfected AI facial recognition for white people. This means that people of color, people who are not able-bodied, people who have face deformities or anything like that, even somebody who might just have a scar, where scars usually aren't prominent, or a burn or something like that, they are more likely to be convicted for a crime that they have not done, because the algorithm would not be able to recognize their face. It's like how white cops just think every black person is the same person, and so they will just mass incarcerate, because one black person doing a bad thing means that every other black person has done it, right? And then it's like this is the same kind of algorithm that builds what becomes trendy on YouTube, you know, what becomes big on TikTok, because it might not be a powerful white person, but it is definitely a powerful group of people in a specific society that creates these algorithms, and it's based off of what they believe, and they reproduce it.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why representation is important in Hollywood. It's not because, well, you know, like, all the Chris's, the 5, maybe 10 million Chris's in Hollywood are just the most talented people to do the job. It's just because the people who are hiring are also Chris's. So they're more inclined to hire people that they identify with.
Yeah.
But then all the people who aren't white Chris man are gonna be like, what about me? That's not me on the TV.
Aren't white Chris man. Aren't white
you know
Chris
what I mean?
man. White Chris,
Chris
man.
with a capital C.
White Chris man.
Yeah. It's so crazy because it's like 13-year-olds like you are on TikTok, you know? Like, I think film industry is much bigger because we see it as like this glorified, this like spectacular thing. And TikTok seems small and easy because it's just the videos that we watch before we go to bed. But it's like, even TikTok is reproducing knowledge and standards and systems. No, I'm not crying. I was swallowing a burp. I'm so passionate about the algorithm that I'm gonna cry. Yeah, it's basically reproducing the reason why kids who don't meet the westernized standards of beauty to feel ugly.
Yes, sir. Period. What else is there?
The mugshot trend.
Oh my god, the mugshot trend!
After I just said everything that I did.
I was gonna do it, and then I didn't know that it was offensive and problematic, so I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, at first, honestly, like, that was the same thought that I had as well. I have, like, I have the socially conscious brain, and I also have, like, the, ooh, shiny, pretty brain, you know? As a fangirl, like, I have that part of me, and I think everybody has that. I'm not gonna deny that human part of me that is easily distracted by entertainment.
Yeah.
I was like, I saw some pretty girls and guys and non-binary people, like, dressing up in cool makeup, and I'm a fan of makeup, and I'm a fan of photography, and they DIY make themselves look like they just beat someone up, and it's usually, like, the comments are actually pretty, the captions are usually pretty, like, positive. They're like, this is what happens if you mess with my friend. I mean, okay, it's not positive. As a Leo, it's positive. It's like, it's not about, like, I just murdered your ex-girlfriend. Wow! Which is, like, the weird stuff that you find on, like, TikTok POVs with dudes. Yeah. That's another thing we gotta talk about.
TikTok POV with dudes.
Why teenage boys? If you're about to make a POV where you're going to abuse someone, don't do it. This is, here's your conscience speaking. Do not do.
And please do not do the gun
TikTok
thing, and the gun TikTok.
The gun TikTok, do not do it. Watch Cody Ko's POV video. Consider yourself burned and move on with your life. Okay? It's the same thing. I feel like the mugshot one is like a much more positive. It's like, I will protect the people I love. It's weird. Don't get me wrong, it's weird. But like, it didn't start off as harmful. But then when you think about mass incarceration, again, talking about, especially in the US, you know, so many people, white people, love to make trends about smoking weed and doing yoga and mixing weed and yoga and goats. Yeah, trust me, that's a thing.
Yoga and
Dude, bro, for real. Like, the hippie stuff, while there are millions of black Americans who are put in jail for smoking weed, but white people who are famous and have money, hell yeah, legalize it, put it on Instagram, make jokes about it, that's completely fine. There are all these issues when it comes to prison, like, it's very systemically oppressive as well. It's hard because I can hear that voice, that conservative voice where it's like, well, can't kids enjoy anything anymore? But it's like, why do we think it's cute to make videos of us going to jail after getting into a fight?
Like, and then, like, I see the comment sections of those things and everyone's like, you guys are getting so easily offended these days.
Yeah.
And it's,
but, like,
it's more like, it's not, you know?
Get to the root of it, right? Why are boys so obsessed with shooting POVs on TikTok? Like, where does that come from? There's this weird innate anger and violence in our society, and it's like, deeply embedded in toxic masculinity and the fact that we're all repressed as a society, and there's all this hate that like politics generate, especially in the America, like left versus right.
Yeah.
You know, school shooters, gun ranges, everybody needs a gun in their house to protect. It's like this sort of like violence mania.
Yeah.
And it's now trickling down to our children who are on TikTok, and I feel like such a Karen. But it's weird. When you think about it, it's weird. It is weird. It's the same reason, like, when you go on Wattpad and you read the Harry Styles fanfictions, for some reason he's a weird boxer, and he's, like, abusive towards other men, but he's soft with you. Why do we... why do we fantasize about that? As, like,
those Wattpad ones where they're like...
straight culture is weird.
You know those Wattpad ones where they're like, we sold you to someone?
Yeah, dude.
It's like, hello, love. Now they're having that on TikTok.
Wait. Okay, but yeah, I've seen those. But, like, we think it's funny now. It's a meme. Yeah. But when I was your age, that was serious. That was serious. It's like, you wake up and your abusive mother sold you to a boy band. Like, we need to look at the real issues. The fact that, like, so many girls have daddy issues. The fact that all these kids are growing up in very, very abusive households, but nothing is being done by the government to prevent it, to make sure that kids are safe. These are things that, like, that trickle down to this. This is a product of that, basically. Like, the fact that we have, for, like, years, glorified men who are physically dominant and explosive, and we see that as hot and assertive. Baby,
and
no.
that's on Damon Salvatore.
He's going to even like Edward, right? Like Edward from the Twilight series. That dude could have murdered her any day, and he almost did when she was giving birth to their child. That's weird.
And this is on Damon Salvatore, who killed his girlfriend, who killed his lover's brother.
That's
weird.
Even like, let's look at the recent movies after, right?
Oh my god!
No, like even. Because it's like, we can make fun of it, but it's clearly, it's a reflection of, like, I think the woman's psyche and, like, all this intergenerational trauma.
You know, there was a deleted scene in After where basically, this is after, like, they broke up. Yeah. And then, you know that guy, the one one of the guy friends, not the older one. I don't know his name. Zed or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's supposed to be Zane.
Yeah. He, basically... They're at a cafe, Tessa and him are at a cafe, and then Hardin comes, and Hardin's like, come on, Tessa, and then Zed is like, Zed was like, you don't own her, and then Hardin was like, what if I do?
Ew.
It was a scene, but it was deleted. It's an actual scene. You can watch it on YouTube. Like, literally, he straight up goes, I do own her.
To every person who genuinely likes the After series or books or movie or whatever,
are you
go
okay?
see a therapist. No, for real. Like, I say this with pure love and care in my heart. Please go see a therapist. There's a lot of trauma out there that you gotta uncover, baby. And on that note, I'm gonna end this.
You know there's more.
No, this is it. That was just the notes that I wrote.
Oh, okay.
When you literally can't let this go.
Because you were talking most of the time.
Because you had nothing else to add.
Because I was scared. I didn't want to interrupt you.
This is what it's like to film with a sister. Thank you, Gwenny, for listening to me, I guess. What do you guys think about TikTok? Do you have it? Do you not want it? Do you think it's better to be a conscious consumer or completely, like, go off the grid and never download anything at all because everything is evil? Like, both. I think it's valid.
It's like,
I think it's valid.
Shabam
from
Shuvi from The Circle. Social Medusa.
Yeah, Social Medusa. It's true. If you haven't watched The Circle, watch The Circle. And yeah, put down in the comments below what you thought while you were listening to us. I would love to hear your perspectives. Thank you, Gwen.
You're welcome.
For being a silent guest. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Have a great day wherever you are. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.